Yo, what's up guys, I'm Yannick from the Producer School, and in this video I'm going to show you 4 essential bass patterns that you should know if you produce Afro or melodic house music. These are the bass patterns that top producers have been using for years and that have been proven to work on dance floors all around the world. Whether you're stuck writing bass lines or just want more variety in your productions, I'll break each one down step by step so you can start applying them in your own productions. Let's dive in. I created this simple 8-bar drum loop together with a piano, so we have a kind of context to see where we can place the bass. The first bass pattern I'm going to show you is the Reesebass, which sounds something like this. This is a super easy and straightforward one, and it has been used in a lot of tracks, and that's for a good reason, because even though it's really simple, it just always works. If you already have chords for your tracks, like I have with this piano, you can just really easily follow the bass notes of the chords and place them on your Reesebass. So for this chord progression, it's C, D sharp and then F, and it's basically only doing that, so it just follows these chords. And basically nothing more. And by the way, you can grab all of the sounds that I'm using in this video in our brand new Afro House bag Tentra, which comes with a lot of presets, a lot of bass presets as well, drums, synths, Project Falls vocals and so much more. So if you want to check that out and really level up your Afro House productions, then use the link in the description, which goes to our website, theproducerschool.com. The Reesebass preset that I use for this one is also in our Tentra pack, and you can easily create the Reesebasses by having 2 oscillators with both saw wavetables, 1 octave higher, which is detuned, and then just having a really low filter cutoff, so it's almost like a sub. You can make it brighter, but let's just leave it like this. And this makes the bass a little bit more melodic, like this. It's a very common trick to make your bass a bit more melodic and warmer, and you can hear it in tracks like Milkshake by Alex One. Moving on to bass pattern 2, this is the tom bass. Like the name already reveals, this bass is created using a tom drum, which creates more of a groovy and percussive bass line. For this one, I'm using a Serum preset also from our Tentra pack, which sounds a lot like a tom drum. But if you don't have access to Serum, you can just use a normal tom like this one. Just try and look for a tom that's not too short, because otherwise you won't really hear the bass notes. The MIDI for this bass pattern is a bit less straightforward than the Reesebass. With a tom bass like this one, it usually works well to stay around the root note of your track, which in this case is F. But to make it a bit more melodic, you can also use the perfect fifth, which in this case is C over here. So it goes up to C5, and then at the end of the second bar it goes down to C4, which creates this interesting melodic pattern. In terms of rhythm, it usually works well to not place your tom bass on the exact beats, so that would be over here. It could work, but then it starts kind of clashing with your kick, and you don't really want that to keep your mix a bit clean. Of course, you can try and play around, but for me it usually works to place them off the beats. And then for the rest, it's just a matter of trial and error and just play around with different grooves. And just see what works best for your tracks with the rest of the percussion. The next bass pattern is the lock drum bass, which sounds like this. It's a classic Amapiano and Afrobeat sound, and for the sound I used the lock drum preset in Fruity DX10, which is a really powerful and widely used preset for the lock drum. This is what the MIDI file looks like. It's just a groovy pattern, and you can also just play around with various different grooves and tempos. You can't go really wrong here. But to make this log drum a bit more interesting, we can add some fills or ruffles, which really make the sound come alive. And in this way, we can create triplet rhythms, which is really cool. So let's put a triplet right here, and you will instantly get a really nice groove. Let's also do it here. And really adds that Afro feeling, which is super nice. You can also put a bunch of really fast notes after each other, and this creates this kind of ruffle, which is really cool and goes like this. And with the drums. Then we're at the last bass pattern, which is something I call the deep sustained bass, and sounds like this. You can hear these kind of basses in tracks by Sam or Aliatik, and it's actually really similar to the Reesebass. Instead of having a very high sustained and filtered bass like the Reesebass, that would sound like this. This one lowers down the filter cutoff modulation with the sustain and creates this deep and kind of plucky bass. And in that way, it's really nice to play in your pattern with some extra notes that are a bit more syncopated off the beat, like these. And here I also put in another note, which makes it a bit more groovy. And in this way, you can create a bit more interesting melodies than the Reesebass, because the Reesebass just follows the chords. And here it kind of makes some jumps and really makes it a bit more groovy. But still, you don't want to overdo things and try to keep things simple, as it's more about the groove and the drums than the bass line usually. And that were 4 essential bass patterns for Afro or melodic house music. I hope you could learn a bunch of new things by watching this video, and you can now apply these bass patterns in your own tracks. Again, if you want to check out all of the sounds that I used in the video, then use the link in the description, which goes to our website theproduceschool.com. And for now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.